Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Best Today podcast. I am so excited. We are talking about planning today, in particular, 4 truths about planning that you need to know. And in uncovering, there we go. I get excited. I talk fast. Let me stop. In uncovering these truths, we're going to also uncover some lies. Now, before we get into that, I do want to remind you, as you may have heard at the top of the podcast, if you're listening in real time, this September 16th, 2021, I am teaching a live workshop called Teach Me How to Plan. I want to see you there. You have 2 available times to choose from, 8 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Eastern, and both times come with a replay of your workshop. I want to see you there, so you can get your ticket by going to teachmehowtoplan.com or just go to besttodayguide.com/24. We'll have it linked for you there as well. Come learn how to get off the planning struggle bus. And maybe listening to today's episode will give you an idea of how I actually teach planning differently than you may have heard before. So let's talk about it first, and then you can decide if you want to join me for the workshop. Fair enough? All right. So like I mentioned, today we're talking about 4 in particular truths about planning that you need to know. As you may know, or if you're new here, let me inform you, my take and my views and my teaching on planning are likely very different than what you've heard before. So I'm going to talk about planning that connects to who you are, who you want to become, and what you want. That is what I connect planning to. And I always like to begin with definition of words. If we're going to talk about plan and planning, let's make sure we're talking about the same thing. So my definition of a noun, is a roadmap that connects and guides you to a vision you want to fulfill. A roadmap that connects and guides you to a vision you want to fulfill. And planning, the verb, is the act of being proactive and intentional with your time by creating a plan. So creating this roadmap that is going to connect and guide you to a vision you want to fulfill. Okay, pretty simple. I think so. Let's get into then these 4 truths about planning that you need to know. So number 1, here is the first truth about planning. Making a to-do list is not planning. Making a to-do list is not planning. I said what I said. Now listen, I understand the emergence of to-do list culture because we live in a world that wants to give you, hey, here are 10 tips for productivity. Here are 7 hacks to teach you how to get more done in a day. Hey, get this drink and it'll help you run off of less sleep. And hey, let's applaud this person for what they do, not for who they are. And then let's criticize this person when they no longer perform or do as we want them to. Like, that's the world that we live in by and large. And making a to-do list, like living your life off of a long list of stuff, goes hand in hand with this type of culture we live in. And it can feel like you're accomplishing something, but what you're not accomplishing is purposeful planning. So that's the hidden word when I'm talking about planning the way that I teach it. To-do lists aren't a plan. They're stuff to do. And you're going to keep doing, and you're going to keep adding on until the day you die. That's the reality of to-do list culture. And that's why, one of many reasons why writing out a to-do list is not making a plan. And I'm not even trying to be hyperbolic when I say you're just going to be making lists to the day you die, but that is literally what happens. I talk to people twice my age who literally thought, well, you just make a list, right? And I mean, I have a grand disgust of to-do lists, and not because of what it has become. That's why I call it like to-do list culture of just do, make these lists, just perform. And we're not even sure we're connecting the things we're doing to anything that actually matters. So the question then becomes, hey, Shantae, well, how do we break free of to-do list culture? Well, understanding that checking off boxes isn't the goal. Rather, what we want the goal to be is understanding what we can accomplish, who we want to be, understanding what we want to accomplish and how that connects to who we want to be, and understanding what's required to get there. So this is who I want to become. This is what is required to get there. And then making a plan for that takes into account our humanity, that takes into account our health, that celebrates progress, That's planning. That's creating that roadmap that I mentioned that connects and guides us to a vision that we want to fulfill. It's not just a list of things we need to do, because really, as I'll talk about in a second, planning is about being. And that's the thing I don't want you to miss out on. Planning to me is more meaningful and inclusive of you not just doing, but also you being. If you forget you in the process, you are becoming a machine valued by your output, and you're always trying to be optimized to do more. And that's not planning. So that's number one. That's the first truth, which kind of uncovers some lies about planning. Like, planning isn't just making a to-do list. Number two is this. The benefit of planning is in what happens after you plan, right? When we're talking about planning, we're talking about spending 1 to 10% of the time planning meals. And I say 1 to 10% because planning your meals is going to take less time than planning a wedding. But in either case, the beauty of the plan comes from what happens in the execution or in the fulfillment of the plan. And so if we're only spending 1% to 10% of time planning, that means 90 to 99% of our time is in the doing or the fulfillment of the plan. So as much as I really love planning and getting down on the floor and putting out my big whiteboard and writing on my big whiteboard, dry erase board, and as pretty and as detailed as my plans are, all that planning, all that stuff on the whiteboard, all that stuff on the notepads, it might as well not even exist if I don't then do what I've outlined and what I've roadmapped. So the problem is this glorification of planning is shining the light on the wrong part. That's why I get questions so commonly in comments about that sound like this. And I'm going to actually read you verbatim comments I've gotten. I love planning so much, not so much the execution. Planning seems hard because then you have to do what you plan. I like the idea of planning, but I tend to get anxious and only want the end results. Planning feels like more work, so most of the time I would rather just list out tasks. Planning seems counterproductive. I struggle with follow through. I have a hard time doing the work that I plan. Execution falls flat. Making time to plan, seems annoying. So planning to plan just seems like more work. Right. These are the verbatim message that I've received about planning that I copied and pasted in my notes. And part of the reason people feel this way is because the glorification has been on planning. We've shined the light on the planning. And so people just want to do that part because it's fun and it's pretty and it's sparkly and you can decorate it. But the power isn't in the plan, right? We glorify planning with products and stickers and color coding and all the things when the part that we need to focus on is the fulfillment, the progress, and the process that plans allow for. Now, don't get me wrong. I love me a pretty product, right? But I love a purposeful person way more. I love me a pretty product, but if I had to choose, I love a purposeful person way more. So I want to highlight the work, the action that comes after the plan. And not the widget machinery work, that work that happens within us when we make a plan that align. I'm talking about, so when I say work, I'm not talking about, again, creating a to-do list and start doing all the things, beep, boop, bop, boop, like treating yourself like a robot. I'm talking about the work that happens within us when we make a plan that aligns with who we want to be and what we want, and then we follow through with that plan. It's what happens within us that is the most valuable thing. Is of the most value in addition to that external result, right? So you get you plan for the thing and the thing happens. Yay, we got the thing at the end of the roadmap. But the power is really in the process that happened within yourself, in the road, in the journey to get to that end result, right? That's a truth about planning that I don't see a lot of people talking about, that I want you to embrace. And I'm going to talk about that more in further numbers. At number 4. Yeah. So let's move on to number 3. But number 2, the truth is that the benefit of planning is in what happens after the plan. So we have to stop glorifying planning and making it like this pretty decorative thing, because then people only want to do that thing and not the thing that comes after. the magic isn't in the plan. And I'm going to talk about that in a second because I have an illustration for you. At Best Today, we exist to help women just like you be your best one today at a time. So each week on the podcast, we are going to highlight your stories and your voices. So let's see what's in the inbox today. Today's message comes from Robin, who writes, I've been using the Best Today guide for 2 months now. Although I've always been a very organized person, using my Best Today guide has helped me shift toward focusing my time and energy on the things that are truly important to me, rather than simply checking off a bunch of random items on a list. Don't get me wrong, like everything else in life, you actually have to do the work if you want to see the results. But the BTG framework, which stands for Best Today Guide, is helping me improve my life in powerful ways. I'm setting better boundaries in my business, being more engaged and present with my family, and spending a lot less time spinning my wheels with random busyness. Congratulations, Robin, and thank you so much for sharing your review of the Best Today Guide. If you'd like to read more reviews like Robin's of the Best Today Guide, you can go to besttodayguide.com/review and read why women all across the globe proclaim that the Best Today Guide is the best planning product. They've tried them all, and the Best Today Guide sets apart when it comes to planning your days with intention. Learn more and order your Best Today Guide at besttodayguide.com. That's besttodayguide.com. Number 3 is this. Most people who claim to love planning are really saying they love procrastinating. Most people who claim to love planning, and when they're honest with themselves, they will tell you because I talk to them every day. They say they love planning, but what they're really saying is they love procrastinating, and here's why. If you think of planning as the thing you spend the most time on, you've got to make it like, I've got to make my plan look this way. It's got to have these stickers and these markers and these colors, and it's got to be on this board. I'm going to transfer my plan. So first I'm going to start with my Google Doc, and then I'm going to take it from my Google Doc and put it on my board. And then from my board, I'm going to put it in my name this other product. And then from that product, I'm going to, girl, what kind of time you got? Then after that, you want to review after I make my plan and transfer it to like 17 different products, I'm going to review it. Then I'm going to color code it and break that down. Girl, just say you don't want to do the things you writing about. You're not planning. This is what you're doing. You're an author. You're not a planner. You write fairy tales of things that won't happen because you spend more time color, shading, stickering, and the like than actually doing something with the words you're writing. And you know what that's called? That's called you're writing a book. You're writing a story. You're writing a little fairy tale about the girl who did X, Y, and Z, but she never really did. You're an author. You're not a planner. You can't see me, but I'm giving that look like, where's the lie? So planning is not the thing you do to avoid the work. Planning is the plan for the work. Planning is useless, absolutely useless if you don't do something with it. Let me explain with an example. If I give you a treasure map and you fully execute what's on that paper was worth gold, literally, because it's going to lead you to the goal. But if you spend time coloring the map, shading in the map, Instagramming about the map, ooh, look at my pretty treasure map. My treasure map's so pretty. Let me do a post on 17 reasons why I love my treasure map. I'm going to do a live about my treasure map. I'm going to take a picture of my top of my treasure map before I start my treasure map. After I start my treasure map, I'm going to color code my treasure map. Like, that paper is worthless. Absolutely worthless. The same paper in the hands of a procrastinator is worthless. And the plans of someone who wants to live with intention is worth gold. So a plan is only as good as what you do with it. That's number 3. Okay. And number 4. And this is probably one of my favorites. The best thing about planning is the person you become when you become consistent at making a plan, fulfilling the plan, tweaking it as needed, and bringing that plan to fulfillment or to an end or to an end result or to like fulfill a vision. Again, I'm going to always point you back to being overdoing. What I love about planning isn't just the excitement of the whiteboard. I love a good, fresh empty whiteboard or a fresh Google Doc and a plan. But what does it for me time and time again is the execution. It's when I actually get to moving, when I do what I say I'm going to do. Being a person who keeps my word, learning hard things and pivoting the plan where needed, tweaking and adjusting the plan, and the personal and internal growth that comes from that is the magic. That is the beauty. That is the good stuff. That's like where the power of the plan comes through in your life. Not even, again, like I said, it's not even in the end result. So while you may think it's the cover of a planner that says something about you, I'm here to tell you that it's actually what you do with what's inside, what you do with what you write down inside. That's what's saying more about you and your personality. Don't avoid the beautiful benefits of growth that come out of setting out to be or do something and then doing it or working toward it and adjusting along the way. Like, that's where the beauty is. That's where the benefit is. Becoming more of who you want to become is the gift of planning. Becoming more of who you want to become is the gift of planning. Living a life of intention, doing things with intention, that's the gift of planning. The magic isn't in the paper, it's in you, but you only discover that when you learn to move beyond the planning phase. So, those are my 4 short truths about planning, which I think also reveal some lies about planning that I want you to know. I'm going to go over those 4 things again. And then I want to remind you that I would love to teach you more about my specific method that I use for planning that is not just make a long to-do list. That's actually not a part of it at all. Because planning and fulfilling those plans, it's so important. And so I'm going to teach you how to do that in my Teach Me How to Plan workshop. So you can go to teachmehowtoplan.com to learn more, to get your ticket. Let's go over those 4 truths about planning. Number 1, making a to-do list is not planning. I know somebody gonna tell me that hit them in the throat. I love you. I love you. Okay. Number 2, the benefit of planning is what happens after the plan. After, right? Not in the actual plan. Number 3, most people who claim to love planning are really saying they just love procrastinating because a plan is only as good as what you do with it. Number 4, the best thing about planning is the person you become when you become consistent at making a plan, fulfilling the plan, tweaking as needed, and then bringing that plan to fulfillment or to an end, to end result. And those are my 4 truths that I want you to know about planning. I want to hear your questions, your comments, your response, your thoughts. Go to besttodayguide.com/24. There's a button there. You press it. You can leave me a message. It comes straight to me. It's easy. It's easier to do that than it is to listen to this podcast. So if you're listening to this podcast, you can leave me a message at besttodayguide.com/24. You can also get your ticket for the workshop there as well. Thank you so much for being present with me for this week's episode of the Best Today podcast. Until next time, remember that you are capable and worthy of being your best one today at a time, and you have everything you need to have everything you want. So go on and shout it out as you live it out. This is what my best today looks like. I'll talk to you again real soon and hope to see you at the workshop if you catch this episode in real time. Bye for now. If you enjoyed this week's episode of the Best Today podcast, you are going to love the Best Today Guide. Our Better Than a Planner guide teaches you how to get clear on what you want, identify your self-destructive habits and behaviors, and intentionally create space to prioritize yourself every single day. Don't go the journey to being your best one today at a time without the Best Today Guide. See inside its pages and order yours today at besttodayguide.com. Even better, when you order the Best Today Guide, we gift you with your first month free inside of the Best Today membership. So what are you waiting for? We're giving you everything you need to trade busy for intention. Go to besttodayguide.com and order yours today and join thousands of women across the globe proclaiming each day, this is what my best today looks like.